Okay, what I'm going to do is show you how to take and cut your glass for your 3D printer. And I use mirrors. And you just go to your local dollar store and you can pick up these mirrors for $1. And you just cut out the backing on here, the tape, and gently take the frame apart to get the piece of glass out and discard that. So that what you're left is a little larger piece of glass. I pre-cut this to equal the same size as my bed there, so I'm just going to lay this over, and then I am going to take a Sharpie and just trace a copy of this mirror out. And it can be a little bit bigger if you want to, but just take a black Sharpie, draw your lines on there, and a couple lines. Remove that. You will see that you have your cutting line that you're going to cut on. What you will need is a straight edge and a glass cutter. And first of all, I'm going to cut it down the width here. And if I just turn this here, just lay your straight edge across your line there, let it hang over, let your line be shown a little bit. Take your glass cutter, push down, do one cut, slide it over, take the other end of your glass cutter, snap it off. Usually it snaps in one piece there. Got a little lucky there. Take your other piece, your other edge, let a little bit of that line show. I'm going to press a little bit harder so it scores it. One cut should be sufficient. Okay, you can hear it cracking or cutting the glass there. I'm going to push down on it and make sure I have it hanging over the edge. And you normally just get it to fall in one big piece like that. What I like to do after I break this is I'll take some sandpaper, because we have a sharp edge, and I got some sandpaper here, and I just take and I sand the edge over, so it's like just taking that sharp edge out, so you're not going to cut yourself or have a child, because I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old that play down here quite a bit. And I'm just going to go around the edges and sand that up. Try not to cut yourself. Get the edges real good. Both sides. I like to get the points. Then you don't cut yourself on the glass. My sandpaper is getting a little old. I like to cut on or print on glass and use glue stick. Elmer's glue stick, the purple one. Doesn't smell when you put it on there, like hairspray does. I've heard some people using Pledge, which would probably smell better than hairspray, but you still have a cleaner on there, which is going to send off some vapor, and it might have a nice smell to it, but glue stick, you have no smell at all. Okay, I got my edges cleaned up. I like to take some of this, the widest blue tape, painter's tape, and put several strips on the back here in case I drop this with my kids around. If it breaks, I drop it and it breaks, it will just break in several, it'll stay stuck together. So we'll just cut some pieces here and slide them on. That helps make it so it's a little more secure when you're printing too. Now I had people ask me about, a couple people asked about how do you level your bed after you've added glass to it. And there's two ways you can do that. you can twist your springs down, or the bolts, the nuts down on the spring, so you have the spring a lot tighter. Or I added a little spacer on that end switch that gets pressed when the table goes up to the top. I added a little, just a little clamp that slides over the back edge of the plywood there, the thickness of the glass. So basically I just had to keep the springs where they were, turn them down a little bit, and when the head came down, some people are wondering about are you going to break and crack that. And once you get that spacer there and you get your first time you level it, you're pretty much fail safe, unless you have some little child come down and twist those screws up when you're not looking, and then you try to level it. But that's how you cut the glass. I'm going to turn her over here and turn the camera here and just point towards the 3D printer here. And I'm going to go down to utilities and actually level my build plate. And the switch I'm talking about is the switch up here. I added a little piece that I 3D printed out that slides over the plywood, the thickness of the glass. And if I home this thing over here, I actually pre-warmed it. When you do ABS or PLA, you should re-level it each time. And I just do a thickness of a piece of paper, and then I set up this little dial caliper that I use, that I basically level it over there. I adjust my screw so a piece of paper fits underneath one side, which I actually turn off the process. I like to slide it right over the screw, take my piece of paper and tighten it up so it just grabs that extruder. Getting close there. Let's turn it the wrong way. There, just hit the paper there. So what I'll do is I'll slide it off to the side. I have my preset height there, and I set the dial caliper on here. We'll come around and zero it out. So I'll zero the dial caliper out, which I want to just recheck this first, because that seems awful high for doing this. Get my little piece of paper. I'm going to switch hands here. Get it so it just grabs that. Okay, I'm going to slide that off to the side. Get my dial caliper. Set it back in here. Set it to 0. That's right over that screw. And what I do is I just slide it over the next screw and I twist it until it goes to 0. I am not adjusting the bed height by pushing down at all on the actual bed. I'm just adjusting the screws, and I come back, slide it back up, and I have to adjust this down. Not sure how you're getting this. I'm holding it with one hand, and I slide it to the other one, right over the screw, because I have 4 screws. Adjust it to 0, slide it back down to the other screw, adjust it to 0, and you just kind of do it a couple times, double check, recheck. And I must have been printing ABS because I had bigger gap, or a PLA. PLA, you gotta have more of a gap. At least I found when I print. and you get it so it's very close to zero. And I just keep going over the screws, and I would say I'm pretty happy with what I have set there. Hopefully I had the camera so you could see this. You can print this dial indicator. I added some magnets from Menard or Walmart that helps stick it on there so it doesn't tip over. And now you're ready to go. I usually double check just to make sure the printer head's not going to go slamming into that. And I'm ready to go. So I just go back to the home axis and I'm ready to print. And this would be set up for ABS. PLA, I'd have a little bit more of a gap. I also wanted to show you the Elmer's glue stick I use. It's just the kids' purple washable glue stick. To get parts off, I just use a little razor blade and you can pop parts off. And for cleanup, you can just scratch off the glue and then use just a little bit of glass cleaner. And hairspray tends to smell. It also gives off, for me, nice. I get that smell of hairspray gives me migraines, so that found out that didn't work out so well for me. So I just clean the glass off. I have a little vacuum cleaner. I just vacuum it up. You're not getting. Some people forget, they'll get in a hurry and not take the glass off and then spray the hairspray in here, and it gets all over everything. And I started doing that and I didn't like that. And I've had pretty good luck with this. So I just scratch that off, brush it off to the side, and I have a little vacuum cleaner I use to suck it all up. So the mess is fairly limited. And then applying the glue stick on there, you don't need much. You get the lid off. What I do is I just kind of go back and forth after I heat it up to let it warm up. And I just do one coat one direction, and I usually do another coat the other direction. It goes on purple, and then I'll usually go like this. And I'm not pressing real hard, but it tends to stick. And when you get done printing, your ABS just comes off when it cools down, but your PLA really sticks good to that stuff. I've actually broke a piece of glass trying to get the PLA off. So I'll just add this to the end of that.